France is on edge once again. Streets blocked, trains halted, schools closed, pharmacies shut, a country paralyzed by anger. But what exactly is driving France's biggest protests of 2025? And why do they feel like more than just another round of strikes? Let's break it down. At the heart of it all is a new budget plan. The French government wants to slash tens of billions from state spending to rein in its ballooning deficit and debt. Reports speak of roughly 44 billion euros in savings. That means freezes to pensions and welfare, cuts in health and education, and even the scrapping of 2 public holidays. Officials say it's necessary to avoid breaching EU deficit rules. But for millions of French workers, retirees and students, it feels like a direct attack on their livelihoods. Unions call it austerity by another name, a policy that punishes ordinary people while protecting the wealthy. The backlash has been fast and furious. On September 10th, a grassroots campaign called Bloquons Tout, Block Everything, erupted online and spilled into the streets. Protesters blocked highways, disrupted rail lines, and staged sit-ins at schools. Clashes with police left hundreds arrested nationwide. Just days later, on September 18th, France's powerful unions escalated the pressure. Teachers, transport workers, pharmacists, hospital staff and students all walked out in a coordinated national strike. Metro and commuter trains in Paris were disrupted. Hospitals slowed down, and schools shuttered. Union leaders hailed it as a show of force, vowing to keep up the fight. Authorities weren't caught off guard. The government deployed some 80,000 police and gendarmes, anticipating hundreds of thousands of demonstrators across the country. Paris became the epicenter, but the protests stretched from Marseille to Lille. This isn't happening in a vacuum. France has been politically fragile all year. The previous government collapsed over unpopular budget plans, leaving a hung parliament and deep mistrust of the political class. President Emmanuel Macron's appointment of Sébastien Lecornu as prime minister hasn't calmed things. In fact, the austerity push has only intensified the confrontation. And let's not forget the recent pension reform that raised the retirement age. That battle left deep scars, and unions still carry that grievance into today's movement. For many protesters, this is about more than money. It's about democracy, fairness, and frustration with elites seen as out of touch. The demands are clear: scrap the cuts, protect pensions, invest in hospitals and schools, and shift the burden onto the wealthy through higher taxes. Some voices are also calling for rent relief and measures to ease the cost of living squeeze. In short, protesters want a social state defended, not dismantled. The big question now is whether the government digs in or gives ground. Lecornu insists the cuts are unavoidable if France wants to balance its books. But every strike day raises the stakes, risking a spiral of unrest that could grind the country to a halt. For Macron, already battling low approval ratings and political deadlock in parliament, this is shaping up to be a defining test of his second term. If compromise isn't found, France could be heading for a long autumn of strikes, blockades, and confrontation. A reminder that in this country, the street can be just as powerful as the ballot box. So, is this just another protest in a country famous for them, or the start of something bigger, a social revolt that could shake Macron's presidency to its core? That's the question hanging over France tonight.